What's up, everybody? New mask. I decided to get a new one, a 3-hole mask, so my mouth is actually open here and people can understand me better. But moving on. Today, I want to talk about phones. Somehow, I really don't like that phone anymore. And I kind of don't want to use it anymore. Phones, it's we have advantages, right? We have music, we have online banking, we have YouTube, other social media stuff. We have basically financial stuff on there, like I said, banking or PayPal. Like it feels like we are already kind of dependent on all these apps that we haven't had, like, let's say 2010. When did the first swipe phones actually come out, like where you could swipe? I don't know, it doesn't matter. But back then I remember I had a little Nokia and I only had buttons on there, and the only thing I did with that phone was either call people or I wrote messages to people, and that's it, nothing more. That was like a snake game, though, I remember, but I never played that. That was boring. And what especially I want to focus on here is maybe social media. I'm not sure, because I'm saying I don't like phones, but I listen to a lot of music, so that is definitely an advantage. But on the other hand, I wouldn't mind actually getting back this old Nokia phone with just buttons on it, you know? I wouldn't care, to be honest. I can listen to music any other way, you know? But I was talking with a friend of mine about this whole social media situation, and that we came to the conclusion, and I actually think this is true, that a lot of people do get influenced by social media, but this can be in a good way, but it can also be in a bad way. So we think there's good influence and there's bad influence, which happens to be on social media. Which makes sense, of course, right? That's nothing complicated, you know? But how can we actually influence what we're watching? Because a lot of people probably don't know that they're watching stuff that is not good. I remember I had times where my algorithm was just absolutely messed up with stuff that shouldn't be on the For You page. And other times I had like stuff that actually motivated me to do more sports. So that's what I mean when I say there's good stuff, there's bad stuff. But honestly, I believe most of the time it's making it worse. It's making it worse, I believe. The positives that we gain out of it, I don't think they're actually worth it. Am I recording? Yes, I'm recording. Okay. I thought my microphone was muted, or I didn't record the microphone. That would have been bad. Back to the topic. So, you know, like when people see, let's get into the fitness niche there. It's not a niche anymore, right? It's a whole business, but it's a whole own world type of thing. But people see like other people out there whose bodies are, well, come close to perfection. It doesn't matter if they are like on juice. There are definitely a lot of influencers in the fitness scene that are on juice. And I think especially young people take these guys as an influence, or like, you know, like they're saying, let's say a 16-year-old guy sees these Czech dudes and says, oh, I want to look like this. And I mean, we had the same thing back then. We liked Arnold, we liked Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, and that's cool. But we knew that that is such an amount of, this is like so far away from us. So it's more like a source of inspiration and motivation to get into the gym, knowing we would never look like that, of course, because it's not natural. But nowadays, I think people actually think that they can achieve such bodies by just working out. And then they buy workout plans which don't make any sense. They have nutrition routines which don't make any sense for a normal person going to work, you know. But that's just a little example I just wanted to give you guys right now. What I'm saying is, your expectations are being played with, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? English is not my first language, so I apologize. But yeah, people set unrealistic expectations, and that doesn't just go with the fitness scene. It's the same with, let's take dating, for example. I had a little conversation with a girl, and so I never met her before, and somehow she said, well, the first thing we were talking about were Porsches. And the second thing was like how much I make in a year. And I told her what my last job was, yeah, and kind of how much I earn. And then she said, well, I want my man to earn at least 100,000 in a year. I'm from Europe. From my perspective, it's in euros. But I think 100,000 in euros and in dollars, we can agree, is a lot of money. And totally unrealistic for normal workers. So I asked her, like, how much do you think does a normal worker, because I come from a factory, I used to work in a factory, that's why I'm referring to workers. The same goes for employees, of course. So I asked her, like, how much do you think does a normal worker earn in a month or in a year? And then she said, well, hopefully close to 100,000. And I said, you are so far off. Like, and that's where I'm like, do phones, and especially the easy accessibility of social media, have an influence on such things? Because I can imagine, like, would she still say that if not just social media, like YouTube also, like, if that stuff wouldn't exist, would she still be at a point where she would have a conversation with a grown man and say, like, yeah, 100,000, well, hopefully a worker earns that in a year? Of course, I don't want to talk bad about her because she was real fun to talk to, but it's just something that, like, came into my mind at this moment. And another friend of mine had the same thing with fitness that we just talked about. Yeah, what I was just talking about. Like, he was looking at his body and I said, man, I need more muscle to be strong because I feel so weak. And he's not looking bad. He's in good shape. He has like a, how do you call it? Like a two-pack. You see the upper two muscles on your stomach. And I said, man, you need to stop. You need to stop. You get away from the social media stuff. This is not a realistic world to live in. There's no chance. These people are making money with this. You are a worker in a factory. How are you supposed to look that way without illegal substances? Yeah. The next thing I want to talk about, and then I think I'm going to end this video. Maybe. Let's see. In my close friend circle, I was having a conversation with my best friend, actually. And while that conversation, he was always looking at his phone. And I didn't say nothing at first. But then after like 5 minutes in the discussion, in the conversation, he like asked me a question about a specific topic, doesn't matter which topic, and I was giving him the answer in like 3 sentences, yeah. And while I was giving him the answer, he was looking at his phone, starting to answer girls on a dating app. And then I was like, yo, Chief, what's up? And he was like, huh? And I said, bro, I was just talking to you. What the fuck are you doing? And then he apologized and stuff. But what I'm trying to say here, this story is going on way too long now. But what I'm trying to say is basically he got so distracted, even though I was talking to him, because of an app on his phone. And this is like interesting because this kind of shows how much influence these apps have to even take the attention away from somebody who's in a conversation. And that's what kind of scares me, that I think people are engaging way too much in this without knowing the consequences if you cannot control it. Because of course the dose is important. The dose, like, you can of course moderate it, but how many people do actually moderate that stuff? And for how long without relapsing, you know? When are you addicted actually? When are you addicted to a phone? Because I believe there's a thin line that you can cross really easily at one point. Yeah, that's just something I just wanted to get off my heart, I guess. And share it with the big internet, with you guys out there. And, well, what's your opinion about all of this? I mean, I would really like to expand my brain about this. Like, how are other people thinking about phones nowadays? Is it like too much of a doomsday setting if I say phones mess up the whole society? Because it probably doesn't, but there is definitely an impact. How do you guys feel about this? Write it down in the comments below. Let's start a conversation. Well, that's it. See ya.